Men of Reddit, when have you experienced sexism? When my mother was chosen to be my primary guardian in court despite her rampant, diagnosed, obvious mental conditions. My father is a successful professional in a new stable family by the time all was said and done. I had a random day off work and decided to check out a museum in my city that just happened to be the same day a grade school class field trip. I was alone minding my own business when I heard one of the teachers tell another to keep an eye on the guy by himself. Eventually, another teacher told me I needed to leave this museum that was very much open to the public because there were kids around and the teachers didn't feel comfortable. The one that peed me off the most was when my daughter was 14, she was having problems with her mother, and it was decided that she would come live with me. I lived in another state. I got her moved in and went to enroll her in school. I had the unenrollment papers from her old school that were signed by her mother. I also had her birth certificate, social security card, and immunization records. The new school wouldn't allow me to enroll her until my ex-wife sent a notarized letter stating that I hadn't kidnapped my daughter and that she was allowed to live with me. I was frickin' peed at the double standard. They tried to tell me it was standard procedure for single parents. A single mother that overheard called BS, saying they never required her to do that. They tried to tell me it was standard procedure for single parents. A single mother that overheard us called BS, saying they never required her to do that. Good on her for doing that. I know I'm far from alone in this, but I've gotten it at public places. I'm an involved dad. When my oldest daughter was young, I would take her to ballet class. While we waited for her class, I'd grab a storybook, she'd sit in my lap, and I would read. I'm an expressive reader. Kids love it, and I would invariably have multiple little girls hanging around me, trying to get up into my lap so they could see. And I would just cringe from the looks around the room, even when I was actively discouraging it. Honey, I'm not your dad. I don't think your mom wants you to sit with me. Eventually, the moms got to know me and decided I was okay, but it was not comfortable for a while. At the park, I pushed my kids on the swings, I chased them around, etc. Other kids tend to want to join in. I have to be super careful, else I'll get everything from the stink eye to rude comments. And of course, the condescending comments are the best. No, lady, I'm not a weekend dad. I'm not giving their poor mother a break. I'm her here 24/7, 365. I spend time with my kids every day. I look forward to sharing moments. Bite me. Getting accused of being a sexual predator for holding my 4-year-old grandson's hand. Should have told them he was leading you to his pedal van full of candy. I took my dog to an agility class once. I was the only male there and younger by 20 plus years than most of the women there. The woman running the class singled me out many times, saying I was inherently worse at training my dog because males lack patience. She also criticized me throughout the class because my command voice sounded angry and I was only allowed to offer praise to my dog. She said men often don't get this concept. I decided my dog didn't like agility training. We just play frisbee instead. My ex became aggressive and told me she was going to destroy everything in my apartment. Called the police. He told me to leave. You're lucky you didn't get arrested. I was a hairstylist for some time. The amount of times that women said they didn't want me to perform a service for them was kind of surprising. The way people treated me and my expertise was not the same way they treated the women. Also, everyone assumed me gay. Once had an ex bite me super hard and wouldn't let go because she was mad. I had never been in so much pain in my entire life. I couldn't get her off me, so I resorted to punching her so she would let go. Next day, she had a black eye, and yeah, you guessed it, she took about 80 selfies and posted them all over social media saying I abuse her. I lost track of how many threats I received as it was all over Instagram and Facebook. Luckily, my close friends believed me since they knew she was a crazy bee. I still have the bite scar on my neck to this day. This wasn't the first time she abused me, it just happened to be the last. Should have replied to the threats with the bite marks on your neck. It's quite impossible to bite yourself on the neck, especially not hard enough to leave a scar. My ex used to punch me, a lot. Never in the face, but pretty much everywhere else. When I asked her to stop, she would hit me harder just because she knew I couldn't do anything about it. She'd even tease me about not fighting back. She would really lay into it. When she did it in public, people, friends included, would just assume that I deserved it. I learned to accidentally move so that her knuckles would hit bone and she'd hurt her own hand while punching me. Yes, this was my first relationship and a long high school/college disaster. I was too young and stupid to just leave. Had a girlfriend do this to me, so I started incepting her knuckles with mine and she cut the crap out real fast. Stalked and groped/assaulted for several months in high school by a woman. Countless witnesses who said or did nothing. An ex-girlfriend was physically abusive. Her family encouraged her. Sexist double standards cut both ways. Anyone can be hurt by anyone regardless of sex. Whether you're a man or a woman, seek help if someone is hurting you. When I was 17, I worked at Taco Bell and a customer fell asleep at the drive-thru speaker. I was the only guy on a staff of teenage/middle-aged women who all started arguing about who had to go check on him, until the one I got along with the least chirped out, "Make that frickin' loser do it, he's a guy." I started arguing with her that I was elbow deep in dirty dishes that needed to get clean, and she said, "You're a guy, butthole, we're women. He might have a gun. Like somehow having a wiener makes me bulletproof. Your username makes this that much better, Bulletproof Guy 112. Well, here it goes, I guess. I lived across the street from a now ex-friend. We'll call her Laura, who had a new daughter that we'll call Penny. A year and some change old. Slightly relevant that the father was not in the picture. Now, I'm usually not a kid person. Any of them below 8th grade or so are like kryptonite to me. For whatever reason, I loved this kid. She had a smile that melted my heart and made whatever paternal instincts I have kick in. Full bore would lay down my life to make sure this little rugrat was okay. Always watched Penny when Laura had to work or go to class since I was a bartender at the time and had most of the day off. My then girlfriend was always home as well, so it was fun to goo-gaw at the whole baby idea. We go to the park, take nice strolls around the neighborhood. Then one day, my then girlfriend left the house to go run some random task, and it was just myself hanging out with Penny. Laura got home early and came to pick her up. Put her hair into the customary time to go forward ponytail thing, because it's funny, dang you, and handed her over when her ma got to the door and had the "how did the day go" chit-chat. Eventually, Laura asked where GF was and went silent when I told her she was out and about. Snatched up all the baby gear without a word and practically booked it across the street. Very long story I'll condense from here on out. We didn't get to watch Penny anymore, which broke my heart, and our interaction with Laura stopped, which was fine because I'm a stubborn bastard and will play the cold shoulder game until the day I die. A couple months later, it came about that Laura was fine with both the GF and I watching Penny, but not me by myself because, I'm sure you saw it coming, I'm a guy and inherently a pedophile and would abuse her child the first moment I could get. Yeah, I still miss the little booger. This is some pretty crap house treatment. Sorry you had to go through that. When I was in high school, I early childhood education and development for an elective. I was in the class a couple of years and loved working with the kids. I had applied at a 24/7 daycare and was laughed out. The ladies working refused to take my application and told me that I wouldn't be hired as I'm a male. Kinda sucks, but I'm a dad now, so frick them. I don't really mind because it was semi-endearing sexism, but these older ladies called me brave for taking my then 10-month-old out to lunch all by myself. I was like, shut up, baby, I know it. Worked with a girl who used to purposely rub her body against me when we were in a narrow back corridor, and again, brushing my arse with her hand when reaching around me for stuff. Always was changing when I finished my shift in the back corridor, where the lockers were. No need to change there, no one else did. Told the assistant manager, more for advice than anything else, and she just laughed her arse off about it. If you told her to stop and she didn't, that is 100% unacceptable. Frick her. Being called a pervert for saying that I would look forward to having a daughter. As a woman who has routinely said I'd prefer sons, I am positive that no one has ever thought that about me. That's pathetic. Also, as a shameless daddy's girl, I hope you get a daughter who loves you as much as I love my father. Was in a loud argument with my emotionally and occasionally abusive girlfriend. It took place in a parking lot outside her apartment. She was hammered and yelling at me about something, and as we pulled up to a spot, she took my phone out off in car and threw it across the lot. I angrily walked over and got it, walked up to show her what damage she caused. She then started hitting me and scratching me. This was at night, mind you. So out of nowhere, a guy comes running over and grabs her and calls me a dirtbag. They walk off, and as I try to make sense of this, I see a girl not far away on the phone saying, "Yeah, there's this guy and he is punching his girlfriend in the face." Police show up, I get arrested, and for whatever reason, the cops drove my car to my house from her apartment, which was 3 miles away. No tow, they just got in and drove it. Meanwhile, my GF is taken by squad car to my house as well. I get into the station for booking, and it's the first time cops see me in a well-lit area. I was wearing a tank top because it was summer. I had scratches that were so deep they were starting to bleed. The cop's eyes became as big as quarters as said, "If we would have seen this before, she would be here instead of you." I said, "Well, maybe you'll do your job next time. Take me in." I was arrested Friday and got out Monday. Not sure if this relates or not, but I typed this all out on my phone and I don't want to delete it. Worked in a female-dominated industry as an intern and was told on a regular basis that it was a female-dominated field and that she aimed to keep it that way, on top of constantly being told to stop eye-fricking the women when I was not. Please hire an employment attorney. That is sexual discrimination at the workplace and should be punished. Just because I am good with kids doesn't mean I am a pedophile. Or another one, I was once at a place where it was strictly enforced that in the cafeteria, the girls had to in front of the boys in line. Not at all that I am anti-chivalry, but you could be waiting for 20 minutes in the same spot just because girls came in. And the girls usually felt awkward about it as well. What's wrong with equality? Whoever gets in line first gets served first, regardless of gender. I was attending a large project status meeting of about 50 people. I would say it was roughly evenly mixed between genders. The topic was basically how our project was going, positives and negatives, etc. The manager was talking about something in particular, don't remember what, but then this jerk blurts out, "That's because men are bad at multitasking." Raised eyebrows abound. No, it's true, women are superior at multitasking because, proceeds on soapbox rant. I was just like, even if you have evidence on that, this isn't the time or place. This isn't even a real discussion. It's the manager giving us general project status. So freaking rude. I and many other men and women really hated that woman. I worked in the kitchen of a restaurant for a few years. It was always the opening server's job to clean the restrooms every morning. I'll spare you the details, but one morning the opening server, female, discovered that the women's restroom was a particularly disgusting mess. She refused to clean it, so the manager, also female, told me I needed to do it because no girl should have to clean a mess like that. I saw it and also refused since it wasn't my job. Both of them seemed to resent me the rest of the time I worked there. Well, then no girl should make a mess like that. I take dance at school because I'd like to be a performer when I grow up. It's pretty off-putting when the teacher tells you to just go to the weight room or just use you as a tool for lifts. I'm a male teacher in a large school. Everyone assumes I'm a coach, even people I've repeatedly corrected. After 3 years, I've just stopped correcting people. Seriously considering buying a whistle and ditching my dress clothes for comfy shorts and t-shirt. It's not really negative, it just is. Start assigning people laps with bad grades. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.